My 48 male stepdaughter, Hannah 18, is going to attend college soon. I've known her for around 4 years since I married her mother. The issue is, though, that we've never gotten along well. I've tried, but she always says that she doesn't like me and wants her real dad when I try to tell her stuff or scold her for behaving out of order. She'd say, "You're not my father, you're just some stranger." My wife Emily asked her to behave appropriately as well. But she didn't care to listen, and in the end, he stopped telling her I had to pick Hannah up at school once. And when a couple of people who didn't know I was her stepdad asked who I was, she said, "Oh, he's a servant, actually in front of my face." I was extremely mad at that, and it even resulted in a huge argument, although she played it off as a joke. But this was the last straw, which happened a few months back. After that, I've always treated her as if she's invisible and barely had any interactions with her unless necessary. Well, she talked to me recently and said she has to apply to college and wants me to pay her fees. I refused and asked her to ask her real dad, who refused to pay for it himself. She began to protest and said I was affecting her education and that I couldn't do that. But I didn't relent and said, "She's not my business now." My wife says refusing to pay us wrong and I overreacted. Even though she's not nice to me, am I the idiot? Not the idiot tell her you can't afford it on your servants. Wages, seriously, her 2 birth parents have had 18 years to save up for her college education. You've had 4 years of putting up with her rudeness with no backup or support from your wife. Her mother, and she has the temerity to speak to you now that she wants your money. Now she can have 4 years of missing out on her dream college and thinking about how treating someone as less than human isn't a good life strategy. She began to protest and said, "I'm affecting her education and I cannot do that. Ha 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 ha, you can..." It looks like Hannah finally learned a good adult lesson about consequences at 18. She is not owed money by anyone. And if you ruin a relationship, you risk not being helped in times of need. It must have felt good to tell that brat she should fix her own education. Where was your wife in the last 4 years? And why is she not backing you up here? Why did she not save money? For her daughter's future, she's known for the last 18 years. This was likely coming. Man, your wife and stepdaughter are idiots. Yeah, the entitlement in saying you can't do that is wild. The wife is definitely a huge idiot, in my opinion. She's ignoring the husband up and daughter's emotional needs. It sounds like her daughter should have been in therapy ages ago, before this whole thing escalated to the point where Opie avoids the stepdaughter altogether. That's not a healthy environment at all, and I would be so uncomfortable if I were living with them. I feel that "don't bite the hand that feeds you" is kind of fitting in this case. It's plain stupidity to be rude for 4 years, and then suddenly expect someone will happily throw money at you. Ultimately, it's your money, and you're entitled to spend it however you please. And I would also beg you not to pay Jack regarding her college, as I said she refuses to treat you like her parent, but at the same time expects all the benefits of you being her parent screw. That when you married the mother, did you intend to pay for Hannah's college? Did you make any promises? Does the mother intend to help her daughter at all? Why did her bio parents split, and were you involved in that? Honestly, this seems like an everyone's the idiot here situation. She obviously resented you for whatever reason. Maybe she felt you were the reason her parents split. Maybe her bio dad constantly talks crap about you, hard to say. But she was just a kid. It was your job, and more importantly, her mother's job, to help her acclimate and form a bond with you. No matter how horrible what she said to you was, you are a fully realized adult. Walking around your home and ignoring her for months is beyond childish and quite frankly extremely toxic. If you think that's an okay way to behave with your wife's children, you shouldn't have married a woman with children. It sounds like you and your wife failed Hannah when she was a young teen, though, to be honest. And it sounds like she was neglected. And now she's lashing out. I'm a nearly adult female. My sister Cassie, 22, is one of those people who's a bully to everyone and justifies it by saying, "I'm just keeping it real." She knows it's wrong because she only does it to family when nobody could affect her school or professional reputation is watching. It's obvious no one in the family likes Cassie's bad attitude, but usually no one says anything because then Cassie gets overly defensive and turns it into a huge fight with yelling, and my family doesn't want to deal with the drama my family celebrated Thanksgiving last week at my grandparents' house, since we're all going to be in different places on the actual day during dinner. Cassie looked over my cousin Molly's teen female shoulder and saw she was reading a web comic. Then Cassie started talking about how the web comic is overrated, calling Molly basic and making fun of her for reading it. I was especially irritated because I like hanging out with Molly, but she and her parents are rarely willing to visit it in person because Cassie's always causing issues like this. I told Cassie that Molly's allowed to like what she likes, and there's no reason to be rude when Molly wasn't bothering anyone. Cassie made an excuse like, "Well, I'm just being honest," and I told her that she didn't have the excuse of just being honest, because nobody asked for her opinion in the first place. Cassie got angry and started going off about how you may be too dumb to know, but she has free speech and doesn't need permission to speak, which was not the point at all. My mom asked Cassie and me to just drop it, but Cassie kept trying to get the last word in. I got fed up and snapped at Cassie. I told her she bullies everyone and no one says anything because they don't want to put up with the drama. But I'm sick and tired of her being a jerk to everyone, which was all something I've wanted to tell Cassie for a long time. Cue the yelling and waterworks from Cassie. She went on about how no one ever lets me talk, no one listens to her opinion. Blah blah blah, she tried using guilt to get people on her side, and the whole night was tense after when we got home. Later, my mom told me that I humiliated Cassie and that I'm in the wrong. She said she knows Cassie is frustrating, but I know that's just how my sister is, and I'm supposed to ignore her. And I gave everyone a headache by provoking her and causing the drama of her crying and yelling at Thanksgiving. It's been a week, and Cassie is still in a bad mood. I thought what I did was justified. But it seems like Molly is the only person in my family who thinks I did the right thing. I realized it wasn't the most civil route, but I still feel Cassie brought it on by being a bully in the first place. So am I the idiot, not the idiot your family may want to enable Cassie's bad behavior? But that doesn't provide you with an obligation to do it indeed. The only way to break Cassie from her bad habits is to call her out consistently. You'll also need to call out the rest of your family consistently on their enabling behavior and spur them into improving themselves. As it were, note that the victim of Cassie's toxicity is happy that you called Cassie out. Only the people who weren't victimized think you shouldn't have done it. That's quite telling. Cassie is already an adult. At least she's supposed to be 22, is too old for this crap. I'm 22 and I know how to be a decent person. Sure, I'll give my besties and my siblings some loving teasing every now and then. But there's a massive difference between LOL I don't get how you like this music, and this music is so basic and sucks so hard, so you're just as basic and sucky. Cassie deserves to be called out. This is obviously select behaviour, so it's not like she can't control it. This is classic triangulation. Family systems offer centre cohesion and agreeableness as the core values, so bad behaviour gets normalised for the sake of going along, whereas the person calling it out is labelled disruptive and scapegoated. Your family sucks up. They weren't keeping the peace, they were buying it from a miserable and abusive gutter snipe and using your cousin's dignity as the coin. Never trust someone willing to sacrifice another's dignity for their peace. You're a star for defending your cousin. Your whole family needs therapy. I male 41. I'm getting married to the love of my life, female 37. We decided to have a small wedding with close family. I've only invited my parents and best friends, since I have no siblings. And she's invited her parents' best friend and 2 brothers and 2 sisters-in-law. One of her brothers has a young teen daughter, Aaliyah, who I dislike very much. She's very rude and sarcastic also. I don't like kids in general, and I've always wanted a childry wedding. So I informed my partner that I wish to have a childry wedding. She just looked at me and said, "Childry just say, you want an Aaliyah-free wedding." I told her that what we call it doesn't really matter, and I just don't want kids in my wedding. She insisted that Aaliyah wasn't a kid, that she was a teen and knew how to behave at a wedding, and she wanted Aaliyah to be there. I just think this is my wedding, and if I don't want to have Aaliyah there, then I should be allowed to do so. But she thinks I'm an idiot, because she loves Aaliyah and wants her. There. You are the idiot. Your fiancé is right. It's not childry, but Aaliyah free. The kid is 14, not a toddler. This is a stupid hill to die on, and apart from being a teenager in general. Aaliyah probably picks up on your animosity to her, which adds to her attitude. To be fair, teenage girls are the worst. Source was 1have2 info. If your fiancé hated, say, your mom, but you loved her and considered her an important part of your family, would you agree to leave mom off the guest list like mother of the groom-free wedding? If my mom was rude to my fiancé, she would definitely not be invited. I'm going everyone's the idiot here because there are clearly different familial values and limitations to interaction, and everyone is allowed not to allow toxic into their space, regardless of the age or connection to the person at 14. She's either a child or not. If she is a child, re-wedding is appropriate. If she isn't, she should be checked about her interaction with OP. Honestly, I find it weird as heck that a grown man hates one teenager so much that he's risking blowing up the love of his life over it, unless Aaliyah has committed a violent crime against you, or cyber-bullied. You suck it up and let her come to your wedding. It'll be a busy day, and you won't have to interact with her that much. Grow a thicker skin, or just mature a bit. My ex-37 male and I, 38 female, got divorced about 3 years ago. We have 2 children, boys a tween, and a preschooler whom we share custody of. The divorce was caused by 2 things. Me finding him in our bed with another woman, and the fact that his reaction to me kicking around and getting upset with him was to pick up our nightstand lamp and try to hit me with it during the divorce. There was a stalking problem, I won't get into it, and we ended up getting court-mandated counselling. When it started clearly affecting our sons, counselling ended up helping, and after the mandated period, he decided to find a therapist closer to his home and set up regular sessions. We spend holidays together so our sons can have their entire family around. So with holidays coming up, we all get together and decide to host at my house while our kids were out getting some quality grandparent time with my parents, my brother, ex and mother-in-law. and I were sitting around and chatting to relax a bit, and the conversation turned from the holiday season to our sons and to our divorce. My mother-in-law mentions that it's nice seeing us still being civil instead of at each other's throats. So my ex mentions that talking about it helped. I initially think he's talking about therapy, as I'm sure anyone would, but then he starts discussing it further, according to him. We just didn't mesh well together as spouses, and we both grew miserable in the relationship. When he saw it was upsetting our sons, he took it upon himself to start the discussion after a very long and difficult conversation. We both decided divorce was the best option. He then tells his mother that he was lucky our talk had been peaceful instead of a mess. I admittedly wasn't thinking and mentioned how I wouldn't say cheating on me and then trying to knock me out was peaceful, but that I was glad he had such an optimistic view of it. His mother lost it on him while my brother and I just dipped for a bit, and afterward, X pulled me aside to tell me that it wasn't right for me to tell his mom about what happened and air his dirty laundry. He had apologized and changed and was still actively trying to get better, and it hurt to know I was still upset with him over a mistake that happened years ago. My brother said that he understood where I was coming from and agreed with me, but that it was a bit of an idiot move to tell his mom during a holiday instead of simply pulling him aside and talking to him about it, especially since we'd all be under the same roof for a few days. No one told my parents or the kids what happened when they finally got back, but I'm not naive enough to believe they hadn't noticed that something had happened. Not the idiot, not a damn chance in this world that you should have to feel a little bit of sympathy for that. He just didn't give two craps about marriage while having intimacy with someone in your bed, your home, and had the audacity to have a reaction and physically abuse you. He assaulted you in your home. I'm not sure what kind of a father he is, but his family should be aware of his deeds and why this marriage isn't working out anymore. It's not about dirty laundry. He made those choices consciously. Not only did he lie by omission to being a cheater and abuser, but he also had the audacity to pretend he was the one who recognized the problem and took positive, proactive steps to end the marriage on good terms. What a giant IDIOP. Your brother is wrong. You were completely right to let his mother know exactly what he's capable of. I'm so angry on your behalf. At least mother-in-law was also angry and didn't try to defend her precious baby. Like so many do, his mother is lucky she isn't spending holidays visiting him in prison for aggravated assault and stalking the fact that you've come so far as to be able to speak to him with civility and spend holidays together is unbelievable. He sat there and lied to his mother, and now she knows the truth that she should have been told when it all happened. He's had plenty of time to do this, and the way he tried to spin the facts is a sign that he's in need of more therapy. If X can lie his face off, then you are allowed to tell the truth. Tell fragile ego X and dainty feelings bro to shut up. My girlfriend Lisa, 26, and I, 26 male, have been dating for some time. Now she invited me to her house to meet her parents yesterday, and I agreed to that. I knew that her was an army veteran, and she told me he was rather strict, but I wasn't expecting exactly how stringent he was. I arrived 10 minutes late because I was caught in traffic. He accused me of not being punctual and said I have raised my daughters to be strict with timings, and you apparently are not. I told him I was stuck in traffic, but he didn't care later when they served me delicacies. I wasn't closing my mouth while chewing all. That's what he said. I was not chewing with it open in a rude manner, but he said I should not open it even a bit while eating, as that's what's respectful or something. I should have it with my mouth fully closed, which is really hard to do. I was frustrated, but I didn't say anything else. He also asked me whether I exercise daily, and I said no, He asked me what time I woke up, and when I answered, he said that's not ideal at all. It's going to harm you and lease her if she marries you. And then he asked me what I do for a living. When I told him I was studying, and what it was, he said, "But you get paid well after university." Won't you honestly? I lost my temperance. Said, "Look, I came here to visit you and not get lectured and ordered around. You were in the army. But that doesn't mean you can act rudely like that to me." He did not take that well. It got into an argument, and they told me later that I was really disgusting for disrespecting someone of that position. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot he was being an idiot. He had nothing to do with being a veteran, just a plain garden variety idiot. You have to lay these boundaries down now, or you set the press that it was okay for him to treat you like that though. Honestly, I don't think it matters unless your girlfriend starts doing some serious standing up to her father. She's likely to stay single for the rest of her life. There's no way her ex has put up with that for long. I was about to say I don't see this relationship lasting long, even if it lasted after this encounter. Heck, I'd have just walked away and left it. If it was me, there was nothing you could have done to be on his good side. You're dating his daughter. Ergo, you are the enemy. You could be a Harvard medical student about to graduate at the top of your class, and you would not be good enough. I've never understood this toxic attitude. I disagree. Everyone's the idiot here. You're an idiot for chewing with your mouth open, even a little, man. What the heck is that close your mouth when you chew? That's just basic manners. Don't act offended by being called out on this. Stop being defensive and just listen. For everyone time someone calls you out on something like that, there were probably 10 other times no one said a thing. But judge you on your bad manners, take it and learn from it. He's an idiot for acting like he's some authority over you. However, asking about your career prospects would be a normal thing for a dad to ask for his daughter's boyfriend.